Hello, dear Facebook friends. Glad to see you today. Joe's giving you the signal.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, here we are. We're back in our fancy studio. That's not yet very fancy. We still have the acoustic panels from the sanctuary, a skew behind us.
Yes.
Josh,
You know what? This is a sweet-looking desk.
this
I
was
dig
built
this.
by our associate pastor Mike White.
He built it. Too.
Yes, with his own two hands.
Whoa. Good job, Mike.
He doesn't build wimpy things.
Mike's not a wimpy guy.
It's very rugged.
Yes.
Yes. So, Josh, anything to say?
Nope. Well, we didn't have to set up this morning, so though
wasn't
things
it
are
glorious?
askew, it was a delight.
It was worth it.
Yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
And one day, we will have the opportunity to get in here and get things tidied up a little bit.
Yes.
But for now, you get what you get.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, though, guys. It really means a lot that you're here. We appreciate it, and we love you, and we're doing this for the Lord, and hope it's an encouragement to you. So, you guys ready?
Onward.
Here we go. Hey, Pastor, you want to come out shooting tomorrow?
Oh, dude, I would, but I have got to study.
Oh, okay. Well, we've been wanting to get your family out to the farm for a while. Maybe you could come out for a hayride.
Oh, I'd love to do that too, but I have to get the Sunday school rooms cleaned up. And you know what? Those lines on the parking lot are not going to paint themselves.
Okay. Well, how about lunch? You have time next week?
Let's see. Not next week. I'm booked for the rest of July. August looks tight. How about Tuesday, the 23rd of December? I've got that available.
Can a rural pastor have fun with his congregation? On this episode of Rural Pastors Talk.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Rural Pastors Talk, a podcast highlighting the advancement of Christ's kingdom in rural places just like the town you live in. The rural church is not the baby pool we splash around in before moving on to bigger opportunities. It's not the place we're confined until we can take off those training wheels. It is not God's penalty box for breaking the rules. Jesus died for his people, and as long as Christ's people live in rural places, a vibrant, healthy, multiplying presence of his church will be there too. My name's TJ Freeman. I'm the lead pastor of Wellsboro Bible Church in beautiful Wellsboro, Pennsylvania.
Hey guys, I'm Pastor Joe Wagner from God's Family Fellowship Church. I just had the hankering to say this as you were going through. I wasn't even listening to what you were saying.
Thank you.
I love my church.
Oh,
Pastor Joe Wagner from God's Family Fellowship, and I love that place and those people.
excellent.
Love that.
That reminds me of when people, you pray and you're praying to the Lord and somebody opens their eyes and like, hey, while you were praying, I was thinking about.
Well, you were talking to God. And I was thinking about talking to God.
I know. All right. Anyway, we're also here with.
What's going on, guys? Joshua McLaren, pastoral assistant at Wellsboro Bible Church.
And who do you love?
My wife,
Oh.
Jesus,
And your
the
unborn?
church, and my unborn.
Yes.
Burn.
Unborn. Hopefully unburned and unborn. Very nice. Who will be here when?
August 12th is the tentative
Ish.
date. Ish.
Yeah.
So give
Is
us
there
a week
still
or
an
two.
ish attached to that?
Yeah.
Well-
we have an appointment today. Hopefully we'll be able to push back an induction and
Instead of pushing out
yes.
a baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Fiber would help with that.
Previous
I had honeycombs
times.
for breakfast.
I know. Yes.
Joe accused them of being nothing but sugar. I disagreed and said they're only 12 grams, but there's like 30 carbs.
I didn't say they were bad.
That's right. Well, on this episode of Rural Pastors Talk, things that overwhelm us in rural ministry, our 5 points on can rural pastors have fun with their flocks, and Joe is going to tell us all about,
Something that goes pew pew.
okay, and a quote from a Puritan brother to help you serve Christ well as you shepherd his flock.
While you're going pew pew.
Speaking of fiber,
I knew you were going to go there.
I know, I couldn't leave it alone.
I set that trap.
You
It was
did.
right at the door.
Joseph,
Yes, DJ.
most overwhelming things about ministry in a rural church. What's on your list?
Mom, when folks slide in and slide out. That's one of my
Transient.
transient. Yeah, that's the word I was trying to look for.
And you're trying to shepherd them and
Yeah,
can't
they'll
keep track
slide
of
in and
them.
they'll slide out, and then they'll come back in a month or so, or they'll say, "Hey, yeah, we're planning on coming. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that," and come up with some really lame excuse like, "The baby was up all night and I couldn't make it to church,"
Yeah,
which might not be a lame excuse, but
sometimes.
sometimes
Yes.
that's what an overwhelming thing. What about you?
I can get overwhelmed when it feels like there's a lot of fires to put out
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason.
I dig it.
Yeah, and your schedule's full with normal things, and then there are some other things. So maybe somebody has this situation they really need to speak to you about. Somebody else's marriage is in crisis. You're trying to study. Their computer dies, and then the sound room stuff isn't going well, and everything just you start to fall behind, and you get it's like you're
All
in
at
a
once.
snowball rolling down a hill that's gaining speed, and you can't get out.
That kind of I dig it. I understand what you're talking about, and it's kind of like ties into what I was talking about too, because now just imagine that we have these people, then if they've got all these fires that are going on too, and they're like moving around and you
Yes.
can't get to them.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
good.
That's really at the heart of it.
Yeah, and in the rural context, there are a lot of times where people don't feel comfortable coming to sit in an office,
Mhm.
and you really need to go visit them at their house or something
Right.
like this. I've found that the office setting is not the favorite for folks that are out here. Have you found that to be true as well?
Absolutely.
They'd prefer to have you come sit on their front porch than
Or in their boat, or on
something
their-
like that. Yeah, which
in the tree stand.
has to do with what we're talking about today.
It does.
But I'm not ready to go there yet.
All right.
A couple other things that can be overwhelming in ministry. So when you are stressed and then you're just doing normal ministry, that can be overwhelming. When you have a season where you're just stressed out and just the normal things happen. And I was listening to another podcast today that was talking about stress, and the guy was saying there's a gentleman who was always a little bit snarky in the church, but they kind of had like a snarky back and forth relationship. And then he was really stressed one day. The guy came with a snarky comment, and the pastor just bit his head off.
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah, because he was already stressed about other things, and then he just didn't handle it rightly. So that's something else that sometimes adding a stress component. So for me, it wasn't like a health scare, but it was like I had to have a little procedure done, and you're thinking about things like that and trying to think about them rightly, and then you're doing kind of your own raising of your own family and shepherding there and some things here. And I can see how you could do something like that if you're overwhelmed or stressed. By God's grace, I don't think I did that to anybody, but except maybe Josh. Did I?
No.
I didn't bite your head off?
No.
Okay. Even when you didn't hold my Bible right when we were walking up to the pulpit together?
No.
My Bible bearer, you bent my page.
I really
No,
did. I
I'm
do
just
that?
kidding.
Oh.
I don't have a Bible bearer.
I
Yeah,
would
no,
have
I don't bear
highlighted
teachers.
it.
Yes. Right.
Oh.
Oh, man. That would
That'd
have
have done it.
Then I
that
would
would have
have gotten
overwhelmed
it.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that I've messed up your beautiful segue, Joe.
5 points on how to. Well, no, that's not how we should say that. 5 points on the question: can rural ministers have fun with their flock? Episode number 69. This is what we're going to talk about. 5 points about how rural ministers can have fun with their flock.
And the first one is recognizing that enjoying the flock is a gift from God. So when you actually go out and enjoy the flock, you spend time with them, let your hair down isn't the term I'm looking for, but you relax a little bit.
I start losing mine, but
yeah, you let it fly.
yeah.
You're not kind of in your study mode, your office mode, your academic mode. You're just there to enjoy something together with the flock. That is a total gift from God. And what will happen in those moments is your love for the flock will deepen as you spend time with them doing fun things. Joe, are there any scriptures that speak of the matter?
I would think so. I think that broadly we're called to love one another, and if we're called to love our neighbor, we got to be spending some time with them, especially as shepherds. We need to be spending time with the flock to get to know them. But Romans 12, 15, and 16 really just kind of speaks to me. Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep, live in harmony with one another. Even just that right there, that language and the way that Paul writes that, his intimation is that you're supposed to be sharing life with one another, whether you were rejoicing or whether you're weeping. But live in harmony with one another. Live to make music together. I guess literally is what that's talking about. And that requires a closeness that we're supposed to live as Christians. Do not be haughty, right? Pastors, we can tend to sometimes be haughty, but associate with the
My
lowly.
wife tells me I'm a hottie all the time.
No, that's an AUGHTY,
Oh,
not
man,
an
okay.
OTTY.
All right, that helps.
So yeah, live in harmony with one another.
Yeah.
Spend time with one another. Get to know one another. Have you ever been around somebody in your congregation, not when they have come to you, But in a time when you have been spending time with them and they've just opened up and they've just started weeping, they just started crying, they've just been like, this has been weighing so heavy on my life, and I have never been able to share this with anybody before. But in that time and in that situation, you were able to be there. God has opened up the door, and you can be their pastor in that time. Or even in times of great joy. And those are the ones that we look for and long for more, is to really enjoy something with the people in your congregation.
But when you're doing those things with them, it deepens their love for you and your love for them kind of together.
Absolutely.
So the familiarity, the closeness, the shared experience of some joy opens the doors for those weeping moments and things like that. It also shows your congregation you're not just some talking head on Sunday morning. You're not just a guy who sits up in his study completely disconnected from the flock, and then you just come present this text that you think that they need to hear. No, they know that you have a real relationship with them. You've invested in things that they like to do. You've spent time with them. You've had fun. And then here's what's going to happen. There's a deep love that forms so that you say something like Joe felt compelled to say, I love my church.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you do things with them. What kind of things would you do with them?
Oh, shoot. We go fishing. We go shooting. We hang out. We have coffee. We share time together. We sit around a campfire together. We just sometimes gather together to sing songs. We tell stories together. The list just kind of goes on and on and on. We garden together. We get together and talk about those sorts of things. We work on each other's houses together. As the more I can think of more and more and more of these things, but you're sharing life with one another. I was talking with not somebody that goes to my church, and I'm sure that they would never in the world listen to this podcast, but they went to another smallish church in our area or region. That church had about 50 or 60 people that went to it, if that. And the young pastor had been there for at least a year, possibly almost 2. And I don't want to pick on anybody whatsoever, because I think it wasn't necessarily just the pastor's fault, but it was the culture of that particular church. But the pastor had trouble remembering people's names that had been there on the regular. And I understand and I get forgetfulness. Like, I get that. But having been there for a year and a half, possibly 2, dude, you got to know people's names. Yeah. And far more than that, you've got to know people's lives. One of the things that we're sitting around in maybe an elders meeting or in a leadership meeting or a time when we're talking about member care is, as somebody who really, really loves the people, our elders are able to share in ways that are deep hurts or deep joys, and we can pray for those sorts of folks. And it's just really a kind of a test. As frustrated as what I get, and TJ and Josh, I've come to you before, pulling my hair out, as frustrated as what I get sometimes, I just really do appreciate the level of love and care that our congregation seems to have for one another.
Awesome.
And we need to build.
So what's going to happen, Rural Pastor, is you may find that spending time doing fun things with the congregation helps extend your ministry because you love these people. You want to stay. You want to shepherd them. You're not looking for that more attractive green pasture.
And you have more high points, too.
Yes,
rather
that's
than
true.
Just lows.
Yeah, it's a little shot in the old arm.
Yeah, buddy.
So, second point.
You need to...
You like my segue?
I did. Right on the news.
Yeah, that's right.
You need to build some margin into your schedule to do fun things with people. Now, TJ's going to share with it a really good, super fantastic way of doing this. But for me, what I've said is I've got one particular day of the week. I've got the days of my week set aside with different themes and a single goal for each day of the week. And I've got one day of the week where spending time with people is included in that goal.
Yeah.
And that's just something to remind myself, like, if somebody wants to go do something, then like that's the day. And I usually can set aside at least a morning or an afternoon to be able to go do that with them.
Yeah, it's good. There's seasons of life where this is harder than others. Right now I have 4 small kids at home. So my evenings, I really need to be home typically.
Yes.
But if I'm not going to be, I've found I need to break out of that normal 9 to 5 kind of pattern that I operate well in and say, I'm going to stay home and do something with the family from 9 till lunch.
Yes.
Because I know this evening I
Yes.
need to go, I don't know, sit and look at the woods with another person or go on a hike or go sit and watch NASCAR, whatever, you know.
I cannot express to you. I'm so sorry. I'm going to jump in on this one.
Do
I
it.
was actually sitting in a boat yesterday morning because yesterday morning happened to be one of those days where I could devote that morning. And I was sharing with this older guy and he was kind of getting a grasp of my job and what I do, and I was like, it's not that it's not that I ever worry about putting 40 hours a week in at the church, because you know what? I'm working all the time.
Yeah.
All the time am I working, and we can have conversations about elders being on call and pastors taking a break, but you literally, if there is an emergency, you are on call all of the time. And do not let your ministry to the church eat up that time that you have with your family at home. So one of the things that I would share with you, just as you were sharing, TJ, and I just got excited when you said that, be flexible to be able to get the time that you need with the people that you're spending time with, because dude, that's part of your job. If you don't abuse it, but if you're going to go fishing with somebody and they're a part of your church, you're ministering to them. That is part of your job.
Yeah, that's true. So build some margin in your schedule that you can specifically do this. For me, it's really helpful if somebody else is preaching on a given week, that I can take the day that I would normally be studying and study a little less that day and go do something with someone else from the congregation for a few hours. That really helps. But just find some ways to build that in. But you're not going to just naturally be able to do that. You need to get started. Point number 3.
Get started by learning and finding out what people like to do.
Take an interest in other people. Don't talk about yourself all the time. Don't be content to talk about nothing. Like we always talk about, we bust on people that talk about hunting all the time.
Yeah.
Don't stand in the back at church and just figure out who saw the most deer, or if the turkeys are gobbling yet, or whatever. You actually need to ask some deeper questions, some leading questions, some things that get the conversation up from you and surfacey things, and help you start to think through things that other people like to do. So you can ask some transitional questions. Like we'll often ask questions like, how's your soul? Mm-hmm. That, talk about just going off the diving board into the deep end.
Right into the deep end.
People look at you like you're crazy, but then they typically tend to open up. You can do the same thing. Just, hey, when you're not working, what are some things you like to do? What's your favorite thing to do with your family? What's a childhood memory that you really enjoyed? What's something you haven't done in years that you love to do? Just asking questions like this, listening to what people say, and then ask. Now, a lot of times people will have hobbies. There's one brother in the church who does wood turning, and he's invited me for quite some time to come to his wood shop, and he'll teach me how to do wood turning, which I think would be fantastic. I don't need to have the wood turning skill set, but I want to spend time with this brother, and I think it'd be fun to pick up something like that. So I want to take a genuine interest in what he likes, and if there's some certain wood grain or some certain tool, I need to pay attention to that and not just go, oh, I'm never going to use this again. Mm-hmm. I want to think about it. I want to talk to him about it again later.
When he's able to share some of his understanding and knowledge and wisdom with you, it opens him up to be able to hear then from you, Pastor.
True.
Right? This is a two-way street of flowing information.
That's right.
And if he's got wisdom to share, then I think that he might be more apt to be able to open up and to hear what you had to say, especially when you might have hard things to say.
Yeah, that's right. So part of this would be just you need to be a really good listener, but you take your listening to the next level by intentionally figuring out what these people like, get them talking about it, get them doing it, and then go have fun with them doing those things.
Point number 4, it's okay to have real fun at church functions.
No.
Yes, Josh, what were you doing last night?
Well, we went to a birthday party.
Yeah.
And I had fun.
You had fun?
We played Pictionary.
With who?
With everyone, with church members, with brothers and sisters from other churches, with our brother whose birthday was his 40th birthday, his family members.
Okay.
So,
did you have fun?
Yeah, I did.
That's good. You guys ever go to you do a wedding for someone and they put you for the reception at like the table over in the corner?
There's nobody so lonely as the pastor at the
wedding reception.
At the wedding reception.
And they kind of maybe put you with a couple out-of-town guests that they're not sure where to put them, so they just lump you guys all together.
Or everybody that they think are non-drinkers.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, they put you far, far away from
At our
that
wedding,
stuff.
we lumped our pastors together.
You did, and that was glorious. I loved that. It was great. So, that shows sometimes sort of how people think about the pastor. He's this stuffy guy. He's the guy who needs to just put him with the odd ducks over there in the corner. And then you can accidentally feed into that by sitting alone with your family at functions. So like Josh last night, you could have sat at a table with Lydia over in the corner. Joe and I were both there. We could have just talked to each other the whole time. But it's okay to actually this is where we can get into the let your hair down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. Play Pictionary. Be silly. Laugh. Enjoy it.
I got a chance to sit with an elder from another church.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was really, really cool that I hadn't had the opportunity to get to know very well. So that was a neat thing, too.
That is neat. Yeah, really cool. We had a baptism recently, and we had it at Hills Creek State Park. Another thing, in rural places, you can take advantage of baptisms at awesome,
Yes.
scenic, gorgeous, God-glorifying places. Well, I dropped somebody.
Oh, no.
I was trying to bring her back up out of the water. I was on my knees. I don't like doing those knee baptisms where the water's kind of
Where
shallow.
the water was lower.
Yeah, and I was at a bad angle. I knew it. I was trying to shift. Father, Son, Holy Spirit came out. I was in a bad position. She went down. I went to pull her back up, and I just skidded across the bottom on my knees. I felt the slide, and she kind of just floated right off onto the side onto her back, and I felt really bad. But it was church function. I'm there with church family. I could make fun of myself and have fun with the congregation versus feeling like, oh, I messed it up and everyone's going to be upset and I ruined her baptism. No, it was a blast. And I enjoyed coming out of that water and being teased by people and those kind of things. So it's okay, guys. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Have fun with people at your church. Numero 5.
Find joy in being all things to all men. All right, so you're not competitive? Get over it.
Yeah, like game night. Someone invites you over, and you know that they're really competitive over this game. Now, Katie and I are not competitive, either of us. We just want to have fun playing. So
Yeah, you want to see somebody else win.
right. So
Because I win all the time.
we played badminton. Katie and I played badminton in the backyard. Never kept score. We were just happy to
That's
just
cool.
hit that thing back and forth. So, Josh, it's just not. I don't know what the problem is. Neither of us have that competitive bone. But if we go to somebody's house and they want to play Settlers or something like this, and they're really competitive about it, we're going to play the competitive part for them because we want to love them and serve them, and it's just fun.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I
So
like it.
yeah, get over it. What if somebody, say, really loves the woods and they invite you to come take a walk through the woods with some shotguns and hunt some birds? You don't like hunting, you don't like the woods. What would you tell that pastor?
Sure. Let's give it a try. I'll try something new.
All right. It's good.
No, I would. Or even just wander along. You don't have to carry a shotgun. Just go and enjoy the woods with somebody. Go and enjoy. How does this work? What are you doing? How long have you hunted? Ask questions, probing questions, things like that. That's what an opportunity. Because something like hunting or being in the woods, hiking, camping, there is something very, very personal about that somebody that's part of their core, part of what they really, really enjoy. And there's probably part of them in their family, in their tradition, that this has been with them for a long, long time. So they are actually inviting you into their space. And if you were to say no to that, you better do it really, really super polite. But take the opportunity to go with them into the woods and do what they would enjoy like doing because they want to share that with you.
It's good. Here's an example. So, Wayne, I think you're probably listening. Wayne likes wheel horse tractors. He goes to the wheel horse tractor show. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And Wayne shared this with me, and I found it fascinating. Now, in my life, I've never once thought of wheel horse tractors prior to Wayne. I mean, I knew they existed. One time I saw one on eBay, or not eBay, Craigslist that I thought about buying, but I didn't buy it. That's my full knowledge of wheel horse tractors right there. But Wayne starts telling me about them and all the different attachments and all the history of them and things like that. And I found it fascinating. And you know what? I enjoyed talking to Wayne about wheel horse tractors because it made Wayne happy, and therefore it makes me happy. And I think that's great. It's a shared experience that we can have and talk and learn and grow. And you know what? I'm probably never going to buy a wheel horse tractor, but I will always enjoy talking to Wayne about them. So that's another example.
I just had to Google wheel horse tractors.
They're
That's
pretty
really
cool.
That's neat, man.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, they'll do everything but fly. It's pretty amazing. So, NASCAR. We're rural pastors.
We are.
Some guys like to watch cars make left-hand turns all day, and that's just okay. But I don't really want to sit and watch a NASCAR game, nor do I even care
a
about
NASCAR game.
It's a
See,
race.
that's the show where I'm at, doesn't it? But like the Super Bowl, I don't care. I just don't care. I truly don't ever know who's in it, and it just doesn't matter to me. But I'm gonna go to every Super Bowl I'm invited to. Every Super Bowl party I'm invited to. There's gonna be chicken wings. All right, that's the saving grace. There's also gonna be really good conversations had during that time. So find your joy in learning what other people like. Talk to them about it. Ask them questions. Really be interested in it. You can learn a lot of neat stuff. There's some cool things. Joe's still Googling wheel horses over there.
Busted.
I was busted.
So, find your joy in being all things to all men. Take interest in the things the members of your congregation are interested in, and just have fun doing them. Anything else you want to say about our top 5, Joe?
Nope, but they're good. Go have fun. Don't burn yourself out. This is a great way not to be burned out. Go and enjoy and love your people and have fun with them.
Josh,
Yes, sir.
you look panicked. Is everything okay? Oh, no. Joe, Josh is in trouble.
Oh, should we
Help
send
me.
out an SOS?
I think he already did. That was those beeps.
That was the beep. Hey, our first S is subscribe. On iTunes, on Stitcher, on anywhere that you watch or listen to our podcast. Please subscribe to us, preferably on iTunes, because that helps us with the algorithm. So we love to be able to build a community, to be able to have a fruitful ministry to many, many pastors and church leaders. So please subscribe.
So that's the S. Then there's the O of SOS. Offer a review. We would love it if you would go on the old iTunes or somewhere else and just offer a review of the show. It's encouraging to those who are considering watching it. It's deeply encouraging to us, and it's strengthening of the algorithm. And finally,
Share, please. Every time we say this, the best way to share is if you actually text somebody, call somebody, talk to another church leader, and say, "Hey, Rural Pastors Talk. That's a pretty good podcast. I like it. You ought to give it a listen to." So word of mouth sharing is a great way to be able to help build the community that we're all part of.
and all of this props us up, helps us build a really large audience, and feeds our ego.
Absolutely not.
No?
No. We want to build a community of pastors and church leaders because we love the church. We desperately love the church. We love your church.
And the rural church.
And the rural church
specifically,
in particular.
which doesn't get a lot of love.
No. So
We want to see the rural church grow. We want to see Christ's kingdom continue to expand in every little rural nook and cranny, which means we need more rural pastors. Ain't enough of us. There's plenty of pastors. There's not enough rural pastors because a lot of guys aren't thinking about going. There's a lot of guys leaving. We want you guys to be thriving in your ministries. We want to be connected with each other because rural pastors are often lonely and under-resourced. We want to do everything we can to contribute to the success of Christ's kingdom in rural places. Jesus is building his church. He doesn't need us. He doesn't need this podcast, but he's choosing to work in rural places using conversations like this. So would you help spread the word so that people can be encouraged and the rural church can be strengthened? And now we turn our attention to stuff
rural
pastors
can
use.
reviews.
Joe is going to tell us all about
Something that goes pew pew pew.
All right.
All right, so we actually segued into the tail end of our podcast by the very first thing that we talked about on our podcast in the open. You said, "Hey, Pastor, we were pretending. Do you want to go have a chance to shoot?" And I'm like, No, I'm too busy. Well, I want to share with you something that will help you shoot cheaper. I recently bought an AR-15.
You
I know.
terrorist.
Evil black rifle buyer.
Oh, man.
I never thought that I would buy one, but I did. I had a little bit of extra saved back, and I saved some money, and I did. I purchased an AR-15, and I enjoy shooting, and I can go hunting with that. I can hunt coyotes with that if I choose to hunt coyotes with that, and so I bought an AR-15. But if any of you out there know ammunition for an AR-15 or ammunition for just about anything is getting really, really expensive and actually really, really quite hard to find.
Like how much per round?
You're up at probably 50 to 80 cents per round
Whoa.
for 5.56 right now.
And if you keep on shooting with the AR, how many rounds could you go through in half-hour shooting?
You can dump a 30-round clip in less than 10 seconds. So you can spend. So somebody do the math for me. 30-round clip. So $15.
Yeah.
Each clip that you're shooting, and
how long does it take you to shoot it?
Oh, you can send rounds downrange pretty quick as fast as you can pull the trigger.
So you could spend $15 in less than a minute.
Oh, in less than 10 seconds, probably.
Less than 10 seconds.
15 seconds, I think that we
Okay.
can say 15
Wow.
seconds. And it's fun because you're doing it safe. Absolutely, we're talking about safe firearms using and target shooting, and it's just enjoyable. And it's something that some folks in the rural area enjoy doing. So I want to be a better shooter. I want to be a safer shooter. I want to teach safe shooting to my kids and to my wife. And they really enjoy that rifle, too, because it is lighter. And it doesn't buck or kick or have any sort of recoil at all. But the problem is you can spend a lot of money doing that. So one of my very, very good friends recommended something to me that I'm going to recommend to you. It is a CMMG. So Charlie, what's the M?
Michael.
Michael. Yeah, Michael. Charlie, Michael, G. Well, I don't know what that is.
Is it really Michael? Just Mike.
I don't know. Mike. Charlie, Mike, G. I see how lame I am here. But it is.
I think
it's
it's
made
good.
by CMMG. It is a 22 conversion kit. So you can actually use your 22 long rifle shells, which you can buy a gazillion of those. Not for as cheap as what you used to be able to, but you're down to about a nickel a round versus 50 cents per round.
Wow.
So in literally, I'm not even kidding you, in less than a minute, you can break open your AR-15, take out the bolt of your 5.56, slide in the 22 long rifle conversion kit, drop that in, close up the rifle, and the 22 conversion kit also comes with, the one I got 3 different mags that you can load up, 25, 22 rounds, and all of a sudden you can shoot way cheaper and have way more fun, and it's just really,
You gave me an
really
idea.
cool.
Maybe I'll just start dropping 20 gauge rounds in my 12 gauge.
You probably better get a conversion kit for that.
Okay. Got it. Good idea.
But yeah, it's going to cost you up front. It's going to cost you about $200. I got mine on sale for about $179. But in the long run,
Pay for itself in less than a minute of shooting.
it will. This is really stuff that rural pastors can use. And
Thanks for your reviews.
there's the reviews.
Good job. That's awesome. I'm very interested in that, Joe.
You are.
I am.
How interested are you?
Well, you're interested, so I'm interested.
Okay. Would you like to come on over and shoot sometime?
I'm
TJ?
busy this week. Yeah. So now, let us end.
I have to work on my straight man bit a little bit better.
Let us end with a quote from George Swinnock, a lovely Puritan brother, who said these words, "Satan watcheth for those vessels that sail without a convoy." My dear wife and I watched that movie with Tom Hanks.
Is that good?
Yeah, it was.
Good.
It wasn't bad, I'll put it that way. I don't
Alright.
like movies, so I was doing it to be gracious.
You don't like movies, you don't like NASCAR, you don't like the NFL.
Yes, I like books.
You like wheel horse tractors.
And I do now enjoy wheel horse tractors and school buses.
That is a conversation we'll
yes.
have to have next time.
Indeed. So, in this movie, I can't remember the name of it, but Tom Hanks, it's the one that Netflix bought. No, Apple TV bought because it was supposed to be released on the big screen, and then it wasn't happening. So Apple bought it, and then they released it through Apple TV. And
Greyhound.
Thank you, Greyhound. And his job is to escort merchant ships across the Atlantic during World War II. And, of course, they're under attack, and there's certain sections where there's no air cover because no airplane had the range to be out there covering the ships. So they're getting just eaten up by U-boats as they go across there. And so these battleship destroyers are trying to sink the U-boats and protect the convoy along the way. Anyway, once they get away from the rest of the convoy, any ship that gets away from the rest, they are deeply vulnerable. And the U-boats come and they just sink them. So that's kind of what I thought of when I thought of this. Vessels that sail without a convoy, the devil's out there prowling, and he's going to sink you. So as believers, as pastors, if we get isolated from our congregations, we are without a convoy. We are not like the head of the body and the church is under us. Christ is the head of the body. We're part of it. We're just being used in a specific way as under shepherds. So we need to be integrated in the life of the body. We cannot be by ourselves without the rest of the convoy. That's what the topic today was helping us see. All the way back in Puritan times, George Swinnock was talking about the very same thing. So rural pastor, be integrated.
You landed the
Have
plane,
fun.
brother.
You like that?
I did. Good job.
Alrighty, well, with that, we are going to sign off, shape up, ship out, and shove away.
Adios.
Raise your Ebenezer.
Goodbye. We looked at a school bus yesterday. Did you see me? How did you know? Did I tell you?
Katie was talking about it.
Oh, Katie was talking about it.
At the party we were all at.
Yes, gotcha.
So tell me, what are you going to do with the school bus?
Well, people are converting them into RVs. So we were thinking about, because I've now remodeled 2 houses, and I've learned some things. I'm not by any means an expert at doing this. And so I feel like I would understand
Yeah.
how to remodel the school bus to make it into an RV.
So you're going to go like the tiny house direction?
Yeah. I mean, not nearly that elaborate, but just make it something that has a couple bedrooms, a little kitchen, a place to sit, a bathroom. I don't understand how you do all of that into tanks. The technical part or
This is-
the wiring of it.
You
That
get good at this. This will be quite the side hustle.
we'll see. So the school bus is the guy picked it up at an auction. He said, "Make me an offer." I haven't decided if we're going to do that or not yet, but we might. It's very
That's
interesting.
exciting. That's cool.
So I was excited about that. Now I gotta go.
Later.
I feel like the show's gonna end soon.
I feel like it already did.
It did? Is that what that music is? I thought we were just jamming. All right. Here I go. Bye, guys. See ya.